Essay question, Sunbathing. Essay begins. There was a time when, for fair-skinned people at least, a good part of their leisure time in the summer was spent in trying not to look fair-skinned at all. In other words, they would sunbathe to get a suntan. Now, with news of the hole in the ozone layer altering people's behavior, they are more likely to shun the sun for fear of skin cancer. But does this simply mean that climatic conditions have changed, or was sunbathing always a bad idea? Well, humans are not plants, they do not necessarily need sunlight to thrive. Nevertheless, sunshine has been identified as a useful source of vitamin E, and few people, especially those emerging from the rigors of a cold, northern winter, have not reveled in the pleasurable warmth of a sunny day. But did some people carry it to extremes? It was always a curious paradox that, in countries where white people had apparently been inclined to discriminate against people with darker skins, those same white people would go to great, sometimes expensive and painful lengths to acquire a dark, even suntan. You figure it out. Sunbathing is a pastime. Some would call it a waste of time which requires a certain amount of patience and judgment. Too early and prolonged an exposure to sunlight can lead to a painful case of sunburn. For the active amongst us, the idea of lying motionless on a sunny beach for hours on end is almost like a punishment. And why seek a suntan anyway? Well, in some relatively sunless countries it is almost like a status symbol, an indication that you have the time and the money for an exotic foreign holiday. There are those, too, who find a suntan suggestive of good health. Now times, habits and climatic conditions have changed. More harmful radiation is penetrating the Earth's atmosphere, and people wonder whether the time spent sunbathing is worth the risk of a life-threatening illness. As with most situations, moderation in all things is a useful maxim on which to act. It is hard to see why a couple of hours spent sitting in a bathing costume with a book on a sunny beach or in the privacy of one's own garden should be something to worry about. Where will you find me next summer? In the sea, swimming, rather than on the beach, dozing. It's healthier and safer unless there are sharks about.